Okay, I'm live. Finally, had some technical issues. So, great. For those of you who have watched my videos, you will know that I tend to go off on a bit of a tangent. So I've made some notes, and I do my best to stick to these notes. And so in this video, as I mentioned, I want to talk about trust. Now, this is a huge topic. And I can't cover all of it in this video, but I will cover, obviously, certain aspects of it. And the aspects I want to cover is how to actively regain your trust in people or in situations. And obviously, trust is a vital component to any relationship, whether it's romantic or non-romantic. And when people break that trust, it affects us deep down at a very, very core level. It's an instinctual sort of reaction to not trust after we've been betrayed in some way. And it's interesting because I speak with a lot of people who go through similar situations, yet their level of trust is different. So some people can say things like, I will ask them about their ability, what they believe about their ability to trust again. And they will say, oh, no, it's broken, it can't be fixed. I'll never trust again. That's it now. Other people will say, they trust some people until proven otherwise. And then you get people that are the opposite. So they don't trust anyone until that person has proven to them that they are trustworthy. But the thing that is common with trust, or the common kind of belief or idea, is that it takes a long time to regain and to rebuild your ability to trust. And this is true to a large extent. And the reason it's true is that obviously when someone has betrayed our trust, they need to prove to us that they are trustworthy. And that takes time. And it's different if you're reconciling a relationship, because there's a whole load of triggers and a whole range of different aspects that make building the trust up when reconciling a lot more difficult than when the separation has occurred from a relationship, when you're no longer with that person. So, but like I said, what I want to cover is how to actually actively improve your ability to trust. Now, I look at trust differently to perhaps a lot of other therapists or a lot of other people. I look at similarly to confidence, in which I did a video recently of confidence. And people think trust is this thing that has gone, that it's completely gone. Once it's broken, it's disappeared. We no longer have this thing that we call trust. Now, instead of trust being a lack of something, I look at it more of that it is a set of feelings or emotions in which we have gained as a result of our trust being broken. Now, some examples of people will often say, I just don't feel like I can trust them. Right? I don't feel like I can trust them. I had a gut feeling that I couldn't trust this person, right? So a lot of it is around what we feel. In fact, from my approach, it's all around how we feel. So, like I said, rather than trust being something that we have lost, if you look at it as a set of, as I said, a set of feelings or emotions which are determining how we are trusting. So, for example, for someone to say, I had a gut feeling that I couldn't trust this person, or I just don't feel like I can trust you. Obviously, there's a feeling there or an emotion. So when somebody betrays your trust, you are experiencing these emotions which are, in a way, aiming to protect you. Basically, all of our emotions come down to survival. Our body wants to survive, to protect us. So when you've been betrayed, you will feel these emotions, which will make you feel sick, make you feel fearful. Really, any different experience is different for every person. And the body will do this so that we don't put ourselves in that situation again. You know, it's like burning your hand on fire. So that you don't do it again, your brain learns pretty quickly, you know, what that is, and it gives you this feeling of well, physical pain, perhaps some emotional pain, whatever other experience you have. Perhaps you're slightly scared of fire, or you're slightly cautious of it. And it's similar when our trust is being broken. So because it's a set of emotions or feelings, rather than looking to gain this thing that we call trust again, or to regain this trust in people in general, or specific people, whatever applies to you, the way I help people with regaining their ability to trust is neutralizing or removing the feelings around the trust for a particular person, a particular trigger, a situation. Now, not everyone wants to do this. Some people want to hold on to those feelings and not trust people in certain situations. They don't want to trust a specific person, and that's fine. That's completely your choice. But what I want to do in this video is I want to run through a technique which I've shared multiple times in many videos and posts, which you can utilize to actually change how you feel, to change those feelings relating to the trust. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do it. This just puts you in a position of choice. A position of choice is very powerful. When we are not able to trust anyone at all, we are not in a position of choice. We are controlled by the emotions. We are controlled by our reaction of not having trust. But if you have a tool or some strategy to be able to change how you feel about that person, to be able to actively regain your trust, as I said, you're then in a position of choice. You can choose to feel differently and to be able to trust, or you can choose not to. And a position of choice is where I like to get people to. Like I've mentioned, I don't force people to do anything in my sessions. If they want to change something, I will help them do it. Otherwise, I will teach them techniques which they can take forward to this point of choice. So that's what I want to cover mainly in this video, and run through a few examples of how to actually apply this technique to regain your ability to trust, as I keep saying. So I'm just going to check my notes here. Yeah, so just to recap, because I've kind of already probably gone off on a couple of tangents. When you don't trust someone, or you have a lack of trust in certain situations, it's not really a lack of trust. You have feelings and emotions which are determining how you feel, and then logically you are believing that you do not trust that person or this situation. This is because emotions determine thoughts and behaviors. So how we feel, excuse me, will create our thought patterns. And then those thought patterns dictate our reactions or our behaviors, you know. So we feel a certain feeling, let's say in our gut, and it creates the thought of, I can't trust them, they're up to something no good. And then we will react accordingly, or rather according to that thought and that feeling as a combination. So if we change the emotions, it changes your thoughts, and therefore changes your reactions or your behaviors. So this technique that I want to run through is the reverse feelings technique. And I have another video which teaches this more in depth. So I'll put a link to that video in the description of this video for anyone interested and who hasn't actually seen it yet. So the reverse feelings technique is extremely simple. And all of the stuff I do is, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to be, you know, super open-minded. You just need to put aside your skepticism and experience it. I've utilized this technique with people who are extremely analytical, from accountants to architects to software engineers, people that are fully analytical and just use a lot of logic and reasoning have found this technique to be amazing, not just for trust issues, but for any feeling or emotion which you wish to change. But specifically in this video, obviously, it's about the trust. So the reverse feelings technique, if you think of a person who you don't trust. Now again, before we actually get into that, I just want to stress that if you don't actually want to change how you feel about a certain person, don't do this exercise that we're about to do. If you do want to change how you feel and how you are trusting in a situation, or to certain triggers or to specific people, then you can just adjust what I'm doing and use that trigger or that person or that situation in place of what I'm talking about here. So let's just say, for example, I'm trying to keep it quite generic. So let's say, for example, we have a person who we don't trust. And when you think of that person with regards to trusting them, my guess is you will get some feeling somewhere in your body. Now, it's most likely in your gut, in your chest, quite often in your throat, sometimes in your head, but it can be in your knees, your legs, your hands, your fingers, your toes. Doesn't matter. People feel things differently. So think of a person, or think of a trigger or a certain situation in which you don't trust some aspect of. And when you get in touch with that, when you recall the memory of that person, or you visualize or see them in your mind, the person or the trigger, and you get that feeling, just notice whereabouts in your body you feel that feeling. So I'm just going to use the example that I feel it in my gut. So I'm thinking of this person who I really don't trust, and I know I don't trust them because I can feel it in my gut, right? I've got this feeling. But I want to change how I feel so I can use more logic and reasoning, and then use that logic and reasoning to determine if I should be trusting them or not, as opposed to being emotionally driven, okay? So I think of this person, no, I don't trust them, feel it in my gut. What I do is I focus on that feeling, and I just ask my mind, without overanalyzing it, without thinking too much about it, I just ask my mind, right, what shape does this feeling feel like? It's a very strange question. Don't think about it, don't overthink it. Just trust what your mind gives you. So let's say, so I'm thinking of this person, I don't trust them, I feel it in my gut, ask my mind, what shape does this feel like? And I get a hexagon, right? So this isn't a real problem for me, but my mind is still smart enough or incredible enough to be able to hallucinate this problem as being real, so I can teach you guys. So I'm getting a hexagon. It's gray, that's the color, right? So we ask the shape, we ask the color. Now, I'm going to ask my mind, what is its texture? Is it heavy or is it light? Okay, just getting some properties. We're creating an object out of this feeling so that we can then manipulate it. And then once we have that, one of the most important things to notice is what is its direction of movement. So is it spinning one way or the other? Is it kind of pulsing? Is it going in a wave? Is it going up and then starting again? Or is it going from the top down? It doesn't matter how it's moving, just notice how it's moving. So once you've focused on the feeling, you've noticed its color, its shape, its texture, its weight, and its direction of movement, then what you do is you imagine pulling it out in front of you. So you're pulling the shape out. So I can imagine this grey hexagon, in my case, out in front of me. And then I'm going to ask my mind to change that to something that is the opposite of not trusting. So, and this will be different for each person. So for me, let's just say, you know, if I don't trust someone, but I want to be able to trust them, I want to feel more calm so that I'm not so emotionally irrational. So I'll ask my mind to change that shape to something that represents calm for me. Okay, and it's changed to a triangle. I changed the color, so I asked my mind, change it to a color that represents calm. It's gone green. The texture is smooth. Was quite heavy, so now I'm making it light. It's a lot lighter in weight. And then its direction of movement is a nice gentle spin that way. And I'm going to slow it right down and see how that feels. You can try it really fast and see how that feels, but generally the slower the better if it's a calm feeling that you want. And then imagine pulling that inside and just take a deep breath in and out. Wasn't a very deep breath. And then I think of that person again straight away, and I notice what's different. I notice how I feel differently. Again, it's not a real problem for me, but even in this fictitious example, I can feel a difference, even though I'm hallucinating this fictitious person that I don't trust. So what you will notice is that you will feel more calm, or it will feel more neutral typically. Or if you want it to feel a different way entirely, that is ideally how it will feel after doing this process. If it's not completely there and you still kind of feel, oh, no, I don't like this feeling, I still want it to be less than the this non-trusting feeling that I've got here, do it again. Imagine pulling it out in front of you and change the qualities and the properties of this shape so that it feels more calm, or change it to a different feeling or emotion in which you wish it to feel. Wish to feel. And just keep playing with it. There's no right or wrong, right? This is just utilizing your imagination. But what it's doing is it's changing the representation of that emotion. This is working at the subconscious or unconscious level with this technique. It may not seem like it because we're doing it consciously, right? But the imagination exists unconsciously. So anytime we change thoughts, we change memories, we change emotions via something like, you know, creating it, turning it into an object and manipulating it, we are working at the unconscious level. And call this hypnosis, if you will. It is a form of hypnosis. It's not that kind of crazy woo-woo stuff that they show you on the movies. Hypnosis is occurring all the time, but that's beyond the scope of this video. There goes another tangent. Don't overanalyze this, okay? Just trust your mind, play with it. You need to experience it. So this can work for specific triggers as well. So let's say we have quite a common one is if people are reconciling, or even in a new relationship where you've had somebody, your ex was utilizing their text messaging someone, and that's become a trigger for you. Let's say you're in a new relationship and your new partner, their phone beeps, you know, they've got a text message, an SMS, and it gives you that, oh no, those feelings of, can I trust them? Can I or can't I, you know? It's a feeling, right? So what you do is, if you don't want that, if you kind of know to a large degree that you can trust this person and you don't want to feel this way, they get the text message. And you don't even need to wait for real life. You can just imagine this happening. So you close your eyes and you imagine, right, I've got a text message. Boom, and that should give you that feeling. So you focus on the feeling, ask your mind, right, what shape does it feel like? Got the shape. What color does it feel like? What's the texture? Is it heavy or is it light? And what is its direction of movement? Now pull this feeling out when you've got all of that and change it to how you want it to feel. Ask your mind, change the shape to something that feels more calm. Change this to something that feels neutral. Change this to something that makes me feel more confident. Change this to something that makes me feel more trusting. Whatever that is for you is fine, you know, however you want it to feel. And just run through it again. Then you change the shape, texture, color, weight, and the movement, the direction of movement, and try it slow. 9 times out of 10, slow is better with this. And then you bring it back inside to the exact same place where you took it out of, whether it's your arms, your stomach, your chest, throat, your head, doesn't matter. Put it back in the same place. Take a breath in and out, kind of dissociates you from the process, and then recall that the sound of that text message, or seeing your partner pick up their phone. You know, if you're auditory, then the text message tone is going to be the trigger for you. If you are more of a visual person, it's seeing them pick up their phone having received the text message, or any other combination. So just notice what that is for you. Then notice how you feel different. Once you've run through that process and you've done this for that trigger, notice how you feel different now. And if it's not quite there, do it again until you feel completely neutral, or until you feel how it is you want to feel. So that's how you apply this to specific triggers or specific people. It's a very, very simple technique, but don't underestimate its power. I've helped people remove entire fears just with this technique alone. So, like I said, it's working at the unconscious or subconscious level, even though it's a process we are doing consciously. And people think, oh yeah, this is probably going to come undone in like a day or two. From experience, I can tell you it won't. But if it does, just do it again, right? And keep testing it. Don't be scared of it undoing, because basically it won't. Once it's changed, you've already changed the neurological structure of that emotion, of that particular trigger, of that problem. I'm going off on another tangent here, but the best way to do this is just to experience it, to give it a go, experience it, and keep checking in on that trigger, on that memory of that person every day, you know, for a day or two, for a week. And you'll notice that the changes will stick. They will stay as permanent as anything can be. And I say that with regards to, you know, like quantum physics and all that sort of stuff, where everything is always changing. So, including us. So, is there anything else I wanted to cover here? Yeah, so I just want to touch back on the fact that, so this technique can help you actively regain your ability to trust, with the examples of changing triggers in new relationships, changing how you feel when you recall people from your past, this sort of thing. Or when you imagine going on a date with someone, or meeting up with certain people, or someone that you've met, or whoever it is, or whatever it is, you can change how you feel about it to improve your ability to trust. But at the same time, this doesn't take away from the need for trust to be constantly shown and proven to you in a relationship. It's absolutely vital, you know. And this can be in any number of ways, which are, you know, not what I was wanting to cover in this video. But your ability to trust in a relationship goes beyond just changing how you feel, you know, getting rid of all the bad trust feelings to be able to, you know, great, now I feel like I trust this person, that's wonderful. They still need to prove it to you over time, consistently, right? We all do. I do, my wife does. It's just how a relationship works, whether it's romantic or non-romantic. But this can hopefully help you, like I said, actively take some steps yourself to be able to regain your ability to trust. Trust is probably the biggest, well, it's certainly the biggest topic that I could talk about multiple elements of. But everyone I talk to, after a divorce, a betrayal, whether they're reconciling or whether the relationship's completely separated, they experience trust issues of some description and of varying degrees depending on the person, their past history, how confident they are, how confident they were, what type of relationship it was, all of that sort of stuff. So this is just one way that you can take action yourself to be able to regain some of that trust back, so that you can move forward. If you have any questions about this, feel free to message me privately, or you can comment on this video and I can reply to you either here or privately if we think it needs to go that way. Like I said, just because you know this technique can help you feel differently about people you trust or about triggers and that sort of thing, doesn't mean you have to use it. Doesn't mean it's what you should do. You should do whatever you feel you should do, whatever you think you should do, right? It's no one else's place to tell you how to live your life. But if you felt stuck, hopefully this technique has shown you and guided you to that place of choice. Now you have the choice to actually do something about it using this very simple yet effective technique, or you have the choice not to. But that choice is completely up to you. So I am actually giving away 3 free action plan sessions for anyone interested who's watched this video and you're at the end of it here, where I will typically spend around 45 to 60 minutes with you to discuss your current situation, your current issues, and then how and where we can actually apply specific changes at the emotional level to allow you to get rapid change as quickly as possible, usually within weeks. With my approach, I don't actually talk in detail about what happened. I don't need to know a person's life story. Like this technique, all I'm interested in is the emotions, because it's the emotions which determine thoughts and behaviors. So we change the emotions, changes everything. So with that call, we'll get a bit of detail about how you are currently, most importantly, how you would rather be, how you want to be different, how you want to feel and think differently. And then I can give you an idea of, right, this is how you can apply the emotional change, and this is what I expect would happen, and this sort of thing. And then so for the I have 3 of those available. So if you're interested, either comment in the comment section or feel free to private message me, and we can go ahead and schedule that call and come up with an action plan for you to finally heal and move on. What else have I got here? If you think anyone could benefit from what I've taught in this video or what I've covered in this video, please feel free to share it or tag them or whatever you need to do for them to see it. Other than that, I thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And like I said, if you would like to have the action plan call with me, I do have the 3 available. So comment or personal message me. Otherwise, I hope this has been very beneficial for you, and I hope it helps you change or regain your ability to trust to whatever degree you choose that needs to occur for you. So just making sure I've got everything here covered. I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions about this particular technique, feel free to send me a message or comment, whichever you prefer. Like I said, I will also put a link to the long description of reverse feelings with this video as well. So with that, I'm going to sign off. And yeah, once again, thanks so much for watching. I really hope this has helped. Bye for now.